They booked an $18,000 cruise, gave away my seat, and mocked me online. So I erased every trace of them from my life, starting with their access to my accounts. I'm Jordan, 33, and apparently the family disgrace now. Not because I yelled at anyone or caused a drunken scene, but because I stopped financing their lives. For over a decade, I was their human credit card. Flights, hotels, group dinners, spontaneous family adventures. If you needed it, and I had points or a good enough salary that month, I was the guy to ask. And I did it willingly. Or at least that's what I told myself. That it was generosity. That it was love. But then came the cruise. It started with a message in the family chat, though not the one I was in. Aunt Susan floated the idea, thinking of a cruise for next spring. Family time, 2 hearts. From what I later saw through forwarded screenshots, everyone lost their minds. Memes. Matching shirt ideas. Polls about destinations. But I wasn't included. At first, I figured it was a glitch. I'd changed phones recently, so I texted my mom. Hey, what's this about a cruise? She replied with a dreaded 3 dots, then, oh honey, we didn't think you'd want to come. Not angry, just empty. The same hollow I'd felt last year when I wasn't invited to my cousin Noah's baptism because we already had enough uncles. Or the time I found out the family Christmas photo was taken during a weekend I was told was canceled. I texted back. I wasn't even asked. She left me on read. Then weeks passed, until my bank froze my card over a flagged charge. $18,000. A bulk payment to Seaview Voyages. I recognized the agency. It's the same one I'd used 5 years earlier to plan our Europe trip. Turns out, my dad never removed my credit card from the shared family booking account. I could have canceled the card, could have disputed it, but something inside me held back. Maybe some pathetic part still waiting for an apology. The day they boarded, I didn't even know they were gone. No one said goodbye, no check-in, just silence, until I opened Instagram. Every post was tagged. #CruiseCrew2026. My aunts, uncles, cousins, even great-aunt Bernice in a custom t-shirt. Smiling. Everyone smiling. Except me. And then my phone rang. My dad. Wait, you're not on the ship? He asked, confused. I said nothing. You didn't miss boarding, did you? We were at gate 6 like the email said. Still nothing. Just me, cold and quiet on my office chair. That's when a message buzzed in from my cousin Lexi. A photo of the cruise's dining room. A long table with 22 chairs. One had a card, Jordan, but someone else was sitting in my spot, grinning at the camera with a glass of rose. The caption read, "Guess the black sheep got the message." That was the moment something in me calcified. I hadn't been forgotten. I'd been used. They booked everything under my account, took the seat with my name on it, let someone else enjoy the meal I'd unknowingly paid for, and they mocked me for not showing. I stood up, walked to the window, watched the morning traffic go by. Then I opened the travel app. The reservation was in my name. That meant I had full control. Are you sure you want to cancel this group booking? The app asked. This action is irreversible. No refunds guaranteed. I clicked yes. And just like that, it was done. An hour passed before the panic started. First Lexi again, what did you do? Then the flood of calls. Voicemails laced with desperation. Jordan, we're still at port. They won't let us reboard. People flew in for this. You're being petty. Fix this. But I didn't answer. I powered off my phone. Let the silence fold around me like a blanket. And for the first time in 10 years, I didn't feel like the scapegoat. I felt like the wolf. By the time sunrise poured through my kitchen blinds, the panic had metastasized. My phone, off all night, was buzzing like it was possessed. When I finally turned it on, I had 92 missed calls, 57 messages, and 2 voicemails from relatives I hadn't spoken to in over a year. I ignored them all. Instead, I brewed a black coffee, leaned back at the kitchen table, and stared at the cruise confirmation still open on my laptop, now marked canceled. Irreversible. I thought I'd feel triumph. But mostly, I felt still. Not peaceful. Just free from the tightrope I'd been walking since I was 24. When you're the responsible one in a dysfunctional family, your quiet compliance becomes currency. It's not that they thank you. It's that they expect you. And when you finally stop giving, they panic. Not because they miss you, but because they miss what you provided. Around 7:14 a.m., the knock came. Sharp. Rhythmic. Familiar. I peeked through the peephole. My dad was standing on the porch, flanked by Lexi. His expression was pure fury, jaw tight. nostrils flared. Lexi looked freshly cried out, mascara smudged like she'd slept in it, hair still damp from a rushed shower. He was holding a manila folder, the same kind he brought to every important discussion. I didn't open the door. Instead, I unlocked it just long enough to slap a yellow sticky note against the glass. It read, "Not your bank. Not your plan B. Not your punching bag." My dad froze when he saw it. Lexi recoiled like it stung. The knock returned, but softer this time. "Jordan," he said, "let's just talk." It got out of hand. We didn't mean to, but I was already walking away. I let them stand outside for 10 minutes before their footsteps retreated. By noon, my cousin Aaron, one of the only people I ever remotely trusted, texted me. "Bro, they're in full meltdown. Half the family missed their return flights. Aunt Kay's threatening to sue the cruise line. Your mom hasn't eaten since Saturday." I didn't laugh. I didn't gloat. I just stared out the window and felt something I hadn't in years, clarity. Then came the knock I didn't expect. It was my younger sister, Chloe. We hadn't been close in years. Not since she started keeping peace by standing wherever the wind was calmest. She was always quiet in the middle of chaos, afraid of saying the wrong thing, afraid of becoming me. "I didn't know, Jordan," she whispered. "I thought you backed out." "That's what they told me." I opened the door halfway. She held up a canvas tote bag. Inside, a still folded navy blue shirt with Cruise Crew 2026 stitched in gold cursive. My name was printed across the back. "They had this made for you," she said. "They planned for you to be there. At first, anyway." I crossed my arms. Then why wasn't I in the group chat? Chloe bit her lip. "Mom said you wouldn't care, that you ruined the vibe." There it was. The ugly truth. Not even from someone cruel, just from someone honest enough to repeat it. I took the tote from her, set it on the floor beside the door, and said, "I'm not mad at you, Chloe. But if you want to stay out of it, then stay out of it." She nodded, eyes wet. "I get it. I really do." Later that night, I booked a trip for myself. Just me. No shared calendars, no split bills, no itinerary designed to please 12 different egos. A quiet little cabin on the cliffs of Kauai. 3 weeks. A camera, a journal, and no one to impress. Just before I hit confirm, another message lit up my phone. It was from my dad. "If you won't talk to us, at least let us fix this. Please." I didn't respond, but I didn't block them either. Because part of me was curious. What did making it right mean to people who'd never believed they were wrong? And then something strange happened. That group chat, the one I hadn't been invited to for years, suddenly reappeared on my phone. No explanation. Just there. Like I'd never been removed. 21 people. All acting like I'd always been part of the club. The first message? A cheap cartoon of a broken bridge. Captioned, "Family, we can rebuild it." I didn't type anything, but I wasn't done watching them try. I didn't reply to the messages. Not the memes, not the syrupy apologies, not the voice notes soaked in guilt. I just watched them pour in, one after another, like confessions thrown at a church wall hoping for absolution. But then something even stranger happened. A second group chat popped up. Smaller. Only 4 names. Chloe, me, Lexi, and our older brother Mason, who lived across the country and barely returned calls, let alone texts. The chat was called, "Just Us Red Heart." "Chloe, I'm sorry again, Jordan. For real this time. I believed Mom when she said you were too busy and probably wouldn't come." Mason, "TBH, I didn't even know the cruise was this week. They forgot me at Thanksgiving last year. Not surprised." Lexi, "Okay, can we stop acting like this was some giant conspiracy?" Jordan could have just said something instead of nuking everyone's vacation. And that's when I broke my silence. "Jordan, you replaced me at dinner before I'd even said a word. That's not a mistake. That's a choice." Lexi left me on read. Chloe hearted it. Mason sent a thumbs up emoji. It was enough. 2 days passed in blessed, peaceful silence. I took long walks. Reread old books that still had flecks of sand in their spines from a trip 5 years ago. The last vacation I remembered enjoying. I didn't open the travel app. Didn't scroll Instagram. Didn't let their chaos re-enter my orbit. Until one afternoon, a letter arrived. Handwritten. No return address. Just my name in familiar script. The envelope smelled faintly of lavender, my mother's scent since I was a kid. Inside, a single note. "I know we crossed a line. I know it's not the first. But this family is breaking, and I can't hold it together without you. Please come to the house. Just once. Let us explain. It didn't say, I'm sorry. It didn't say you were right. It didn't say we hurt you. But it said enough. More importantly, it gave me an idea. I wouldn't go back for them, but I'd let them come to me. I texted the original Cruise Crew 2026 group. If you want to talk, come to the house this Sunday at 3. All of you. One chance. You get 20 minutes. After that, I'm done for good. The responses poured in like I'd flipped a switch. Dad, we'll be there. Mom, thank you, baby. Aunt Susan, praise God. Lexi, oh, this should be good. Grandma, I'll bring lemon bars. What they didn't know, that house, they still called it Dad's place, or the family house had been mine for 4 years. Legally, quietly, paid off after I flipped the tech stock just right and decided to buy it from them during a rough year. They were grateful at the time. Said it was just temporary until Dad could get back on his feet. They never asked whose name was on the deed. Sunday came like a summons. I didn't clean the house for their visit. Not really. I didn't mop or set out snacks. No scented candles. This wasn't a reunion. This was an autopsy. I opened every curtain, pulled back every blind. Let the sunlight cut through every dusty corner. At 2:58 p.m., the driveway began to fill. SUVs. Minivans. A Honda with 3 kids in the back. I watched from the upstairs hallway window. And Susan wore another floral blouse that made her seem sweeter than she was. Uncle Rob looked confused, like he still wasn't sure what he did wrong. Lexi was chewing gum like she was unbothered. And then my parents. Mom clutched a casserole dish. Dad had that damn manila folder under his arm again, like he was prepping a PowerPoint apology. They filed in at exactly 3:01. I didn't greet them. I just pointed to the living room. Sit. They did. Slowly. Uneasy. The air felt tight. Like a classroom seconds before the pop quiz. I stood at the center. You get 20 minutes, I said. That's all. My dad opened his mouth. Son. Nope, I interrupted. Don't start with that word. You don't get to lead this. He sat back down, stunned. Before anyone could jump in, I pulled out a folded sheet of paper from my back pocket. I want to read you something. November 2020, you asked me to pay the deposit on Mason's wedding venue. You said I'd be reimbursed. I wasn't. June 2021, you used my credit card to book the family lake house without telling me. Said it was easier this way. December 2022, I was told I didn't need to come to the family Christmas brunch, then saw photos of a full table. Each item on the list was like a slow drip from a leaking faucet, pooling into something that couldn't be ignored anymore. When I looked up, no one said anything. My mom's face was pale. Aunt Susan was blinking rapidly. The cruise wasn't the betrayal, I said. It was just the final exam. You left me off the invites. Off the itinerary. But not off the bill. My mom whispered, we thought you wouldn't want to come. You're always so distant. Distant, I repeated. You mean tired. Tired of paying for everything and still being treated like an extra. I shouldn't have to beg to be included in a family I keep afloat. Lexi scoffed. So this was all about money? I turned to her. No. It's about respect. And you lost mine. She laughed bitterly. You could have just said no. I did, I said, voice firm. You just never listened. The living room was quiet, too quiet. The kind of stillness that settles after a bomb has gone off, but before anyone has realized they've been hit. Then Aunt Susan piped up, her voice sweet enough to rot teeth. Let's not forget we're family. We've all made mistakes, but forgiveness is part of that. I let the silence stretch for a second. Then I said, funny, that only ever gets said when you need something. I walked across the room to the small side table by the TV, picked up a thin, black folder, turned back to them. And that brings me to this. I opened it slowly. Inside were 6 documents, each notarized, each printed in duplicate. The sound of the pages shifting echoed like thunder in that brittle room. This is a legal notice, I said. Effective immediately, none of you are authorized to use any account, travel service, or reward point under my name. The joint bank card is closed. The shared airline mileage plan? Deleted. All payment methods? Unlinked. My dad blinked like he didn't understand the words. I handed him the folder. I'm not here to scream, I said. Not here to cry. I'm here to end this. But we can change, Mom's voice cracked. No, I said. You won't. And that's fine. But I don't owe you another chance just because we share a last name. That's when Grandma, quiet until now, spoke up. Her voice was paper thin, but laced with something that made everyone turn toward her. What do you want us to say, Jordan? I looked at her, the only face in the room that carried actual regret. Nothing, I said gently. I don't want words anymore. I want distance. I want peace. I want to stop being a ghost who only appears when a tab needs closing. Then it happened. Mason, my older brother, silent in the corner the whole time, stood up. I'm staying, he said. His voice clear, quiet, but unshakable. Everyone turned to him in shock. He stepped closer to me. I felt this too, for years, but I never had the guts to say it. I didn't move, just stared at him, then nodded, slowly. He crossed the room and stood by my side. And just like that, the axis of the house shifted. Everyone else sat paralyzed, like the game had suddenly changed and no one had read the new rules. My dad stood up. Jordan, don't do this. I'm not, I said. You did. I'm just finishing it. I walked to the front door, unlocked it, opened it wide. You're free to go. They didn't move right away. It was like they expected a last-minute twist. A laugh. A group hug. The usual family circus. But there was none. One by one, they stood. Walked out in silence. Some muttered goodbyes. Others wouldn't meet my eyes. Lexi was the last. She paused in the doorway. You're going to regret this one day, she hissed. I met her stare. Calm. Unflinching. No, I said. I'll regret waiting this long. She left. I closed the door. Locked it. Turned around. Mason was still standing there. Hands in his pockets. Looking a little stunned, but not unsure. You really mean it? He asked. Yeah, I said. I do. He let out a long breath. So, what now? I looked around the quiet, sun-drenched room. Now, I said. We start over. With less noise. That night, we opened a bottle of wine. Talked like brothers should. Laughed like kids again. Made plans for a trip. No group chats. No spreadsheets. Just two men reclaiming peace from the wreckage of old obligations. We didn't need matching shirts. We just needed a clean start. 3 days after the confrontation, everything was quiet. Too quiet. The group chat went dormant. No emojis. No guilt-trippy memes. Not even a sarcastic gift from Lexi. It was like they all collectively decided to play dead, hoping I'd mistake it for peace. But I wasn't looking for quiet. I was looking for closure. Then, out of nowhere, I got a letter. Hand-delivered. No stamp. No return address. Just slid under my door like some coward's version of a truce flag. It was from my mother. Written in careful cursive, the kind she reserved for Christmas cards and funeral thank yous. I know this doesn't fix anything, but the family is falling apart. And we need you, Jordan. You were the glue. Please come to dinner. One last time. Just us. No drama. We'll listen. We'll try. It wasn't an apology. It was a request for audience. A summons disguised as softness. I didn't respond. But I did make plans. Because if they wanted a dinner, if they wanted a shot at explanation, they'd get one. On my terms. I rented out a private room at a restaurant downtown. Nothing fancy. Just polished with tables, dim lights, and more silence than any of them deserved. When they arrived, Mom, Dad, Lexi, and Susan, even Grandma, they looked confused. The host led them to a long table with name cards. I sat at the head. Mason sat to my right. There were no drinks, no menus, just a sealed envelope in front of each plate. Lexi was the first to break. What is this? I didn't answer. Instead, I raised my glass of water. Welcome. You wanted closure. You wanted to talk. So here we are. They all sat down slowly, watching me like I might explode. Go ahead, I said. Open them. They did. One by one. Each envelope contained a letter, customized, blunt, and final. To my father, a full statement of every transaction charged to my accounts over the last 7 years. $97,250. Itemized. Signed off by a lawyer. To my mother, a list of every birthday, graduation, and family event I had been excluded from. Each date stamped. Each RSVP forgery marked. To Lexi, a printed screenshot of the dining hall photo. The one with my name card. The one where she let someone else sit in my place. And for Aunt Susan, just a sticky note that said, "You were always smiling when you said nothing." They all stared, shocked. This isn't revenge, I said calmly. This is record-keeping. Jordan, my mother whispered, already tearing up. This doesn't feel fair. You're right, I said. Fair would have been asking me if I wanted to come. Fair would have been removing my card from the account before booking a vacation you never planned to invite me to. Lexi rolled her eyes. You're seriously still hung up on a cruise? No, I said. I'm hung up on the fact that the seat with my name on it was filled before I even knew it existed. You didn't forget me. You replaced me. Then I stood up. This is the last time we'll do this. There's no coming back. No redemption arc. You all chose convenience over respect. They watched me. And that's when I handed one final envelope to Grandma. Inside, a simple letter. You were the only one who looked sorry. I hope you mean it. If you ever want to visit me, the door's open. I hugged her on the way out. Gently. She was crying. The others just sat there, stunned. I didn't wait for applause. Or anger. Or some grand moment of reconciliation. I walked out with Mason. Into the night air. Into the clarity I had built brick by brick. That night, he and I booked a trip to Prague. Just us. A backpack each. No itinerary. No shared cards. Just two brothers who finally understood what it meant to choose each other. 3 weeks later, Chloe sent one last text. I left the group chat. Proud of you. I smiled. And for the first time in years, I didn't just feel like the wolf. I felt like the survivor.